Hello, and welcome to Congregational Vitality Pathway Game. I'm Tracy.
And I'm Kendall, and this video is a quick start guide. This game is designed to be a learning tool. It's best utilized once you have started to develop a general understanding of congregational vitality and the different types of churches.
We tried to make this video as concise as possible, but as you have questions during gameplay, please consult the included rulebook. As we talk through each part of the game, we'll also point out where you can find those same details in the rulebook. Let's do it!
When you open up your brand new game, you'll find some extra packing paper inside. Save it, reuse it, do whatever you want with it. Your box contents should include a large stack of cards that separate into 8 unique deck types, a bag of cubes and 4 colored church blocks, one rulebook, 4 narrow mats, and 2 large pathway mats that fold in the center. The 2 big pathway mats should be unfolded to lie flat. I find giving them a little bend on the ends also help. Put the 2 mats together, connecting them to make a single pathway along the board. More later. For now, have each player randomly draw one of the colored mats as well as its matching colored church block. If you have more than 4 people, you can choose to have people partner up into teams or just have 4 players and have the rest observe. Make sure the cards are sorted out. Place each of the small decks on the game board in their corresponding location. You'll have 2 large decks left. The orange cards with the tools are called expansion cards, and the blue cards with the light bulb are called development cards. Place these to the side of the board where everyone can reach them. Have each player look again at their colored church player board. In the bottom right of each player board, there will be an icon of green cubes with a number underneath it. Each player begins the game with that many cubes in their church bank. Any remaining cubes should be placed in a pile to the side of the board as the community bank. When you're ready to start, each player moves their church block token to the corresponding colored rectangle on the far left side of the game board. These are your starting spaces.
The objective of this game is to take care of the church you've been given. As you move along the pathway, you'll make decisions that will transform your church, and in the end, you'll be evaluated on your church's health. As you play, feel free to treat the decisions that you make as part of a story. The game is more fun when you treat it like a narrative. The way this game works is pretty simple. Move along the path from left to right, either spending or gathering resource cubes, and experiencing events with your fellow church leaders. When you look at the board, you'll observe 3 types of shapes along the pathway. There are circles, squares, and triangles, but they each represent an event or a choice that you get to make during a single one of your turns. These are spaces where you can either choose to spend or gain resource cubes. For example, when you move to the space for green cubes, you may take 3 green resource cubes from the community bank. Think of these as all the various types of resources that a church has: time, money, effort, and energy. The other 2 circles give you the option to draw certain cards and buy as many of those cards as you'd like with the cubes from your church bank. When you move to a space with the orange tools, you may draw and purchase cards from the expansion deck. Expansion cards range in cost from 2 cubes up to 5 cubes. When you move to a space for the blue light bulb symbol, you may draw and purchase cards from the development deck. These cards will always cost 4 cubes each. Any cards you buy can be placed next to the matching icon on your player board, and any that you don't buy go back on the bottom of their respective deck. Let's talk briefly about the triangle events. They're a little bit different because you don't actually land on them. They're more like a yield sign. So when you pass over one, you have to complete its requirements before you land on your final spot. The most common is the white triangle that has a blue number 2 in it. These represent the regular expenses of running a church. So when you pass over this triangle, you have to pay 2 green resource cubes into the community bank. You must pay those 2 cubes before you take the rest of your turn. If you don't have enough cubes to pay, then your church closes its doors and you are out for the rest of the game. Make sure you plan ahead, but if someone closes before the very first workshop, consider it a test round and just restart the game. There are 2 other triangles along the pathway, but we're going to talk about them a little bit later. The last significant shape on the board is the square workshop. These are the 3 points along your pathway where all of the churches will gather together. All players are required to stop at a workshop, so you can never move past it without waiting for everyone else to catch up. Below each square icon, you'll see 4 rectangle spaces on which to place your church block token. When you move into a workshop, always take the closest available space to the pathway, unless you are the red church. The red church player always takes the furthest space from the pathway, which is colored red as a reminder. Once everyone has arrived at the workshop, there are 2 steps. First, flip over the cards next to your workshop. There will be one for each player with a matching color, so distribute those cards. Then, each player will receive a green resource cube from the community bank according to the number of unique development cards that they possess. Now, your church player board has a special section that will remind you of this step that's called Workshop Benefits. When everyone has arrived, taken their special card, and received their workshop benefit cubes, then you continue play along the pathway. Okay, now let's talk about all the things that are unique to your church player color. Here's a rundown of your church player board and what each section means. Keep in mind that throughout the game, you may receive a card that updates the information in a section. If you do, simply continue playing the game with that updated information. We're going to start at the bottom of the board and work our way up. In the lower left corner, you'll see a section that we call Workshop Benefits. It has a picture of each square workshop icon, which points to a formula, +1 green cube per 1 blue light bulb development card. This is a reminder that each time you stop at a workshop along the pathway, you can earn green resource cubes based on the number of unique development cards that you've acquired. Those are your workshop benefits. In the lower right corner, you'll have your church bank area. This is a picture of green resource cubes with a number beneath it. This is where you should keep your church bank cubes, and the number indicates the amount of cubes that each player should start with when the game begins. In the lower mid section of your card, you'll see the icon for the blue light bulb development cards. If there's a number next to it, it means you'll receive a discount of that many cubes for every development card that you buy. This discount applies as you purchase the cards on your turn, so don't forget. The upper mid section of your card has the icon for the Orange Tool expansion cards. Just like the development cards, if there is a number there, it means you'll receive a discount of that many cubes for every expansion card that you choose to buy. The symbol of the eye in the upper right corner of your card represents your church vision. This is the number that shows how many cards you're allowed to draw when you take a turn trying to buy cards at one of the circle events. You'll need to know this number throughout the game. The upper left corner of your board represents a significant choice you'll have to make about halfway through the game. The picture shows 2 options. The top choice is choosing to spend half of the resource cubes in your church bank to purchase the service card, which is always represented by this praying hand symbol. The bottom choice shows not spending your cubes, which means you'll receive the restriction card. While this will prevent you from certain opportunities for the rest of the game provided by the service card, you'll still be able to continue play along the pathway. Since you won't make this choice about purchasing the service card until about halfway through the game, you can always refer back to the rulebook at that time, so you don't need to worry about every detail right now. But I do want to talk a little bit about that choice and come back to those last triangle shapes that we ignored earlier. When you come along the pathway to the purple triangle with the praying hand symbol, you'll have to make a choice. If you choose to buy the service card, you will need to pay half of the cubes in your church bank, rounding up the number you have to pay, but you'll get the following benefits. First, you'll get to take cards when you pass the red triangle event and when you attend the last green workshop. Second, from this point on, when you take your turn on an orange tool circle event, you can choose to draw from either the expansion deck or the development deck. Third, when you take your turn on a blue light bulb circle event, you'll get a resource cube for free even before you draw your cards. If you decide to purchase the service card, go ahead and turn over the purple cards on the pile, select your matching player board color, and then lay that card on your player board to remind you of these benefits, returning any remaining cards to the pile for the next player. However, if you choose not to buy the service card, then you don't have to spend any cubes. However, you won't get the benefits from drawing cards when you pass the red triangle or attend the green workshop. What you'll still need to stop at the green workshop so you can receive your workshop benefits, those resource cubes based on your number of development cards. Then you'll continue the game as normal, treating all of the remaining circle spaces just as before, regardless of the praying hands symbol behind them. If this is your choice, draw your matching church color card from the restriction card pile and place it on your board to remind you of your choice.
To give an example of movement and what gameplay looks like. The player that has the current turn is the one who is furthest behind, and if there's a tie, the one who is the furthest off the trail. In this case, red is the one furthest off the trail, while blue is the closest. When red moves, red can move as far forward on the pathway as red would like, as far as the next workshop. However, as far forward as they can never go backwards. If there's a place that has two spots, the first person to arrive takes the one on the trail. The second takes the one off the trail. So when red moves, they could go anywhere, but red will choose to go to the first spot and take 3 green cubes. It is now yellow's turn because they're now the furthest behind. Yellow chooses to take the second spot and take their 3 green cubes. Green Church chooses to skip over those orange tool expansion cards and go to that place to take 3 green cubes.
Now it's the Blue Church's turn. The Blue Church can't go to either of these spaces for green cubes because they're already taken, so they'll take this first orange expansion card spot. Now, because the blue player has a vision of 2, they can draw 2 cards at a time to choose from. Alright, so the cost of these cards is 2 cubes and 3 cubes. This looks like it's Easter, which is obviously great. So the Blue Church has a discount of 2 cubes for every card they buy, which means they can get this card without paying any cubes. Now this is technology for your church, which looks pretty important as well. Since it will only cost the Blue Church 1 cube, given their discount, they'll buy that and add it to their pile. That concludes the turn.
Now, it is yellow's turn because they're the furthest behind and the one off the trail. They choose to move to this spot, draw their cards, pay for any card they choose to keep, and return any they do not purchase to the bottom of the stack. It is now red's turn. Now as red moves, they will be crossing over the triangle with the 2 in it, meaning they have to pay 2 cubes as they cross over. Red chooses to go to this final green cube spot and draw 3.
Now blue is behind again, and so it's their turn. When they cross over the blue number 2 triangle, they'll need to pay their 2 cubes. And then they'll take another spot on the orange expansion card space. Once again, they have a vision of 2, so they get to draw 2 cards at a time. Oh, 2 Christmas cards. So I don't really think I need 2 Christmases this year, although that does sound fun. So I will just keep the 1 card, and once again, because blue has a discount of 2, I can take this card for free. I'm not going to buy this card, so I'll return it to the bottom of the deck.
Yellow pays 2 cubes as they cross, draws their cards, pays for any they choose to keep, and return any they do not purchase. Green, unfortunately, does not have any further spots before the workshop, so they pay their 2 as they cross over, and they take the first open spot at the workshop. It is now yellow's turn, and they take the second spot.
Now it's blue's turn. They'll take the 3rd open spot at the workshop.
And red will be filling in the last. You'll notice at every workshop, red will be taking the last spot at this workshop, and the 3rd one. Now that all the players have arrived, we will be flipping over the workshop cards and giving them to the corresponding player. So this one goes to the green player, to the blue, to the red, and to the yellow. Finally, at the end of a workshop, looking at the equation, each church will gain 1 cube for each unique blue development card that they own.
Because the blue church has 1 unique development card with the light bulb, they'll receive 1 cube. At this point, the same is true for all of the other churches.
For red, for yellow, and for green. The workshop is now complete, and we begin play again. Since red is the one furthest off the trail, they have the current turn. Red chooses to move here and take 3 green cubes.
Now it's blue's turn again. They will try these new blue development space that allows them to buy a new type of card. Because their vision is 2, they'll draw 2 cards to choose from. All of the development cards will cost 4 cubes, and in this case, the blue church does not have any discount, so they'll have to pay full price. So I think I'll choose the pink card that has the leader in the front. That will cost me 4 cubes, and I will keep this one and return the other one to the bottom of the deck.
That is the end of this tutorial. Good luck and have fun!
That's it. Those are all the rules for the game. However, when you finish by reaching the end of the game board, you'll want to take out your rulebook and flip to the very back page. There are some important debriefing questions there to help you process the game.